I wanted to take a minute and talk with you about a piece of legislation before Congress called the Trade Promotion Authority, or TPA. This issue can be somewhat complicated, so I wanted to explain exactly what TPA is and then share my opinion on the issue. For decades, Congress has used a tool called Trade Promotion Authority to set the negotiating objectives which the President must adhere to while negotiating trade agreements. TPA is not a trade deal itself. In fact, TPA is a tool that places restrictions and sets guidelines that the President must follow. Presidents already have the authority under the Constitution to negotiate trade agreements, but TPA ensures that Congress, and in turn the American people, are in charge of the process. Now let's talk about trade and why it matters. Liberal labor unions have tried to create quite the stir by spreading misinformation, but let's look at the facts. Free trade is an inherently conservative value, and it's good for the American economy. Nationwide, over 38 million jobs are related to trade. That's more than 1 in 5. In Alabama, we have over 558,000 jobs supported by trade. Trade-related jobs pay up to 18% more in wages. Alabama's trade-related employment has grown 7.2 times faster than total employment over the last decade. And trade isn't just important to major corporations. Over 3,900 Alabama businesses exported goods or services in 2012. 82% of those were small or medium-sized businesses. In Southwest Alabama, trade is especially important given the Port of Mobile, which is among the top United States ports serving manufacturing, mining, and agribusiness exports. It should be no surprise that groups like the Mobile Area Chamber of Commerce, the South Baldwin Chamber of Commerce, the Alabama Port Authority, the Alabama Farmers Federation, the steel industry, and other local businesses, as well as Manufacture Alabama, have all contacted me and asked that I support TPA and free trade. I've also been asked to support TPA by our nation's military and foreign policy leaders. They believe passing trade is a critical foreign policy tool. If the U.S. doesn't engage in trade with our allies in the Pacific and Europe, nations like China and Russia will. If the U.S. doesn't lead the way on trade, China and Russia will. We simply cannot allow that to happen. Finally, conservative leaders and grassroots organizations have called on Congress to pass TPA. People in groups like Senator Ted Cruz, Chairman Paul Ryan, former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, conservative columnist Charles Krauthammer, the American Conservative Union, Americans for Tax Reform, and the Cato Institute, among many others, have lined up behind TPA. In fact, Senator Ted Cruz wrote in a Wall Street Journal op-ed that, quote, Trade Promotion Authority will hold the administration accountable both to Congress and to the American people, close quote. I came to Washington to focus on solutions that grow our economy, advance a strong national defense, and fight back against an out-of-control executive. Passing TPA fulfills each of those goals, and that's why I have decided to support it. Despite what some may say, TPA restricts President Obama's authority by setting nearly 150 clear negotiating objectives and guidelines. TPA includes transparency provisions to ensure that any trade agreement is made public for 60 days before Congress can vote on it. If President Obama gets out of line, then Congress has the ability to revoke TPA. Most importantly, TPA gives Congress the final say in approving any potential trade agreement. If a deal doesn't meet the high standards that is required, then Congress would and should simply reject it. TPA is a public document, and you can visit my website at byrne.house.gov to read the bill, find answers to commonly asked questions, read what other conservatives are saying about the issue, or to send me an email. It's an honor to serve as your voice in Washington, and I encourage you to stay in touch and let me know your thoughts on this and other important issues. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.